Entering an American shopping mall in the 1980s was more than just visiting a commercial space. It was stepping into the heart of community life. Today, many of those once thriving multi-million-dollar structures have become decaying concrete shells, abandoned ghost towns, or have been entirely erased from the map. While it may be easy to attribute this decline to the rise of the internet and e-commerce, the truth is much more complex. The American mall didn't simply fade away due to changing consumer preferences. It collapsed under the burden of its own greed, corporate overexpansion, and a fundamental misunderstanding of the social value it provided. What we are witnessing is the gradual destruction of a cultural institution that shaped generations, and this serves as a valuable lesson in business. To grasp the tragedy of this decline, we must first recognize the significant economic power that malls once wielded. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, enclosed shopping centers functioned as what sociologists call a third place, a crucial social anchor separate from the pressures of home and work. These spaces were specifically designed for human connection. Elderly individuals used the climate-controlled corridors as morning exercise tracks before the stores opened. Families spent entire weekends gathered around the food court, while teenagers enjoyed their first tastes of freedom wandering past sparkling fountains and well-kept indoor gardens. By 1990, the statistics were remarkable. Enclosed regional malls accounted for more than half of all retail sales in the United States, generating $400 billion in local tax revenues and employing millions. It created a predictable ecosystem, so familiar that a consumer could walk into a mall in Ohio or Arizona and instantly feel at home. However, beneath this appearance of stability lay a critical vulnerability that corporate developers overlooked during the boom years. The retail industry fell victim to hyper-expansion. By the mid-1990s, approximately 24 square feet of retail space had been constructed for every person in the United States. To put that in perspective, this concentration was 5 times that in the United Kingdom and 10 times that in Germany. Developers built massive new shopping centers not due to local demand but because corporate spreadsheets demanded endless quarterly growth. Malls were constructed directly across from each other, competing for foot traffic and diluting the quality of tenants. This oversaturated ecosystem became incredibly fragile, ensuring that a systemic crisis would occur at the slightest disruption to consumer habits. The disruption began in the mid-1990s with the emergence of the consumer internet. When platforms like Amazon and eBay first launched, they didn't immediately destroy physical retail. Instead, they gradually dismantled the mall's primary competitive advantage: convenience. For decades, malls thrived as centralized hubs where consumers could view, compare, and purchase goods all under one roof. E-commerce transformed this entire experience by eliminating the physical challenges of shopping. Suddenly, the 20-minute drive, the search for a parking space, and the long walk through crowded corridors felt entirely unnecessary when consumers could search for and buy the exact same products from home. More importantly, the internet didn't just take consumer dollars, it took consumer time. Window shopping and aimless browsing had once served as popular weekend entertainment because people had few alternatives. The digital world fulfilled that need by offering infinite, personalized browsing directly on a screen, turning trips to the physical mall from enjoyable outings into exhausting chores. As foot traffic began to decline, the financial structure of the mall model started to unravel from the top down. Each regional mall was anchored by massive, trusted department stores like Sears, JCPenney, and Macy's. These anchor brands were the foundation of the mall's business model because their well-known names attracted most shoppers. In return, landlords offered them substantial rent reductions, sometimes allowing them to operate almost for free. The mall's real profits came from charging premium rents to the smaller specialized shops lining the interior corridors, relying on the foot traffic generated by the big anchors to justify those steep prices. When the digital shift caused the anchor stores to experience severe financial declines, The domino effect was swift and devastating. Between 1990 and 2024, department stores saw their share of American retail sales plummet from over 14% to less than 2%. When a 200,000 square foot anchor space became vacant, it created a massive, unfilled void that disrupted the surrounding ecosystem. This structural collapse created a troubling legal issue for mall landlords: co-tenancy clauses. Many smaller retailers included clauses in their leases that allowed them to immediately reduce their rent or break their contracts if the major anchor stores closed. This legal reality caused mall revenues to vanish almost overnight. Landlords could no longer afford to maintain these sprawling properties. The once bright skylights grew dirty, famous water fountains were turned off to save on utilities, and the interior landscaping withered. Walking through an average suburban mall in the 2000s felt eerily apocalyptic. Faded "for lease" signs lined the hallways, the vibrant food court was reduced to one or two struggling fast food counters, and the crowds disappeared. The teenage demographic, which had energized mall culture for 40 years, migrated entirely to platforms like Instagram and TikTok, replacing in-person food court socializing with digital group chats. The retail landscape has quickly fractured into two distinct realities. Class A luxury malls, located in affluent areas and anchored by high-end brands such as Nordstrom and Apple, have adapted and thrived by evolving into premium lifestyle centers. In contrast, mid-tier Class B and C malls, which served middle-class suburban neighborhoods for decades, have largely failed. Occupancy rates have dropped below 80%, leading to the permanent closure of hundreds of properties. The shutdown of a regional mall is a significant municipal crisis. When these massive hubs close, towns lose millions of dollars in property and sales taxes, resulting in cuts to local schools and public services. The thousands of lost jobs aren't limited to retail. They also include positions in security, facilities maintenance, and local logistics. Additionally, surrounding businesses that relied on mall traffic, such as local restaurants, gas stations, and hotels, quickly went bankrupt, leaving entire suburban communities economically hollowed out. However, as we examine the current landscape, an unexpected shift is taking place. Rather than spending millions to demolish these vacant properties, innovative developers are turning to adaptive reuse. Transforming an existing mall structure is often 50% more sustainable and significantly faster than building from scratch, as the heavy structural steel, utilities, and parking infrastructure are already in place. Across the country, abandoned retail spaces are being revitalized into essential civic hubs. For instance, in Columbus, Indiana, a struggling mall was transformed into a vibrant medical and sports complex called Nexus Park. In Austin, Texas, the historic Highland Mall was completely converted into a large community college campus featuring advanced science labs and student spaces. This modern shift is bringing the American mall full circle, inadvertently realizing the original 1956 vision of Victor Gruen, the European architect who invented the enclosed shopping center. Gruen did not intend for malls to become single-purpose retail boxes surrounded by vast parking lots. Instead, he envisioned them as lively, mixed-use downtown hubs that integrated housing, medical offices, schools, and public park spaces. For half a century, corporate developers ignored his civic vision in pursuit of retail profits. However, the collapse of the single-purpose model has forced the industry to create exactly what Gruen envisioned all along. The ultimate lesson of the American mall is that a business solely based on transactions will eventually be replaced by a more efficient alternative. But spaces built around genuine human community are irreplaceable. What are your favorite memories of the classic American mall before the digital shift took over? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this analysis of business history, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more in-depth explorations of the corporate forces shaping our world. See you in the next video.